Hello, everyone. I can see the attendees rolling in. If you are here to learn about how you can grow your business with digital marketing, you are in the right spot. Today, we have representatives from Q4 Launch, BizCore, and Blue Tent, all joining forces to talk about strategies that can help you acquire owners, maximize your revenue, and increase your bookings. So if we move on to the next slide, I'll introduce our panelists and moderators today. So I'll start off actually with Ken Wilson, the COO of BizCore. He's joining us today. And then we have Ben Olick, a Senior Digital Marketing Specialist with Q4 Launch. And rounding out our panel is Bryn Flaherty, the Director of Marketing Services over at Blue Tent. So stacked panel today, if I do say so myself. And then our moderators are Elisa Justice and Josh Guerra of Inhabit IQ, both serving as national sales directors. And really, I'm stoked today. This is such an industry leaning lineup. And I think the content is really compelling. So again, just super thrilled to have such a awesome panel. So I'm going to turn it over to Elisa and Josh, our moderators today. Take it away, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Kay. Appreciate it, as always. Go ahead and, Elisa, go ahead and click the next slide for me, please. So this, as Kay was kind of talking about earlier, we're going to be going over some hot topics in the industry, kind of wrapped around digital marketing. The first topic we're going to go over is, we know you're fully booked. It's exciting. It's finally the lights are back on. It feels really good. And it's like, how long is this going to last, right? You got all these hotels turning on and things of that nature. And the question we get asked a lot is, I'm fully booked. Should I keep investing in digital marketing? And quite honestly, I feel like the answer is a big yes. You have a lot of eyeballs in this industry. You have a lot of, up and coming companies coming in. You got large corporations growing out of acquisition in a lot of these destinations. And why take your foot off the gas? The investments you're going to make today is going to get you through the horizon of tomorrow. So go ahead and click the next slide. I'm going to let Ben kind of take it away and give us some of the, tips that they're deploying over at Q4 Launch. Take it away, Ben. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So to start, everyone knows ramping up for your busy season, ramping up for that time, you want to drive that as fast as possible. But tell me about the brakes just a little bit, going in a little bit of that maintenance mode, right? So instead of solely focusing on booking, using lead generation, using destination type of marketing tools that you can use to capture those leads, potential leads that could turn into guests at a later time, and using some of those automations to follow, as well as looking at your third-party data through Google Analytics or other sources to conduct website audits, make sure your SEO is in line and gearing up for when you're busy again. So maintaining and making some changes to really position you better long-term, but also making sure everything you're doing now is working well.
That's awesome, Ben. Let's see. Bryn from Blue Tent, do you want to give us a few of your take?
Yes. Yeah. So my take is kind of, pivot, but don't take your foot off the gas. So, we found that to be so important last year when the pandemic hit us. There were a lot of people that just wanted to completely stop their marketing. And we found that, those that continued running everything are really the ones that came out ahead. And I think it's going to be quite similar in this situation. Yes, you might be full for this year, but there's so much we could still be doing. So, if you look at PPC, for example, we never recommend completely stopping your campaigns. You can definitely shift budgets to the campaigns that make more sense, drop those budgets down. But really, if you pause a campaign completely, it can take several months to gain those quality scores back and to get back in good standing in Google. So right now we are definitely shifting, but not turning off those ads. Similar with SEO. SEO, as many of us know, really never stops, and Google never sleeps. Google never stops changing the rules on us and continuing to refine the algorithms. So with SEO, most likely your competition is not stopping. And Google is constantly looking for fresh, new updates to your website. So we recommend shifting, but don't ever stop paying attention to your SEO. A couple other things I wanted to touch on. A lot of our clients are being very successful right now by promoting 2022. Guests are gladly booking already for next year. Many of our clients are already starting to fill up. So one suggestion we have is promote those 2022 rates by using a website banner. Really, convey that sense of urgency, let people know that people are already starting to book, but also give them some more info on, how far in advance they can book. So those banners can be really useful. You can direct people to a landing page all about how to book for next year, how far in advance you can book, and get those bookings ahead of time. And lastly, right now, you guys are all booked, so let's do everything we can to improve your guest experience for those incoming guests. Make sure your website content is up to date. If there are certain regulations or things that guests need to know that are arriving this summer, make sure that's clear both on your website and pre-arrival emails. So there's plenty we can do right now also to enhance your marketing and make sure guests have the best experience possible.
I really like that, especially on the SEO side. I mean, that was my formal passion. And honestly, I've been part of a lot of campaigns where you see companies let their foot off the gas, and you could fall behind, especially in search engine optimization. So I love everything you just said.
Let me ask real quick before we move on to Ken. Bryn, quick question for you. From a PPC budget standpoint, is there a recommended floor to drop your budget? Is there a place where we could get to and run a very minimal budget until we need to kick back in again?
Definitely. I mean, our PPC team, they will look at your market and kind of what the bare minimum is to stay present. And that's really, again, what we did last year as well, when we just wanted to keep the lights on, but obviously people were very afraid to spend. Maybe in this case, you don't feel you need to spend, but we want to keep those lights on your campaigns. So, I mean, we've seen people, as small as $1 a day per campaign, but it does depend on your area and the cost per click and kind of what is necessary to have that bare minimum. Also, shifting into, we'll talk a little bit about owner acquisition later, but shifting into more budget into those types of campaigns, shifting messaging, that kind of thing. Yeah.
That's cool. Great. Yeah. Ken, what do you got on your side of BizCorp?
So I completely agree with the whole pivot strategy, especially if you're, taking some of the gas off some of your PPC ads. Definitely, look at the HOA homeowner acquisition side of things. There's definitely tons of opportunity there. And especially if you're filling your homes now, you definitely need more inventory to fill later. So that's definitely one thing I would say. The other thing is, you're fully booked. You have tons of guests coming in and out. Make sure they know they're staying with you. I just stayed up north in Pine Top, and I brought my parents, and the entire time they called it an Airbnb. I tried the entire time to get them to call it a vacation rental and learn, but everything is an Airbnb to them. So the biggest thing I would say is, if you're a property manager, make sure your guests know they're staying with you. And you can do that with your welcome emails, your follow-up emails, and then also your in-house items. So things like your guest book. If you have a virtual guest book, which is something I've been seeing more and more of, or even a guest app. So things like that, let them know that they're really staying with you and want to come back and stay with you again. And then also, if you can make them have a better experience, and I do this a lot with email marketing, or I see email marketing very successful, let them know what they can do in the area. So just by giving them the information and really letting them know staying with you is the better stay than the average Airbnb is one way to really make sure you're going to be bringing back all those guests you're seeing right now. So take advantage of the people coming to see you today.
That's really cool, Ken. Don't you have a few customers working like QR codes and stuff like that hook into your guest book?
Correct. Yeah, we've seen it done with the QR code. We've also seen a bunch of different people do things like different business cards, or even on top of their standard guest book, they'll either put a link to the virtual guest book, or if they don't have one, even send a link to your concierge option. That way you're giving your guests the ability to contact somebody that is an expert and can help them make their plans.
That's awesome.
One question I have with that is, and any three of you can answer this one for me, is What are you seeing your clients do to collect the email addresses of maybe the non-booking member of the group? Because maybe, you have a multi-family unit and Aunt Sally and Uncle Bob booked the vacation rental. Everybody had a great trip, but next year, Aunt Sally and Uncle Bob aren't married anymore. So nobody knows where Uncle Bob booked the vacation. Are there any tips on how to collect email addresses from those non-booking members of the trip?
I think
So
one, I'd be
Go
curious.
ahead, Bryn.
Yeah, sorry. I'd be curious what you both have as well. But one thing that we've been talking about as a team at Blue Tent is using tools like StayFi, where Aunt Mary, I think you said, Lisa, if she's trying to sign onto the Wi-Fi in her laptop, StayFi is a great way to collect that person's email address so that you can use it down the road for marketing. So that's just one tool that we've been talking about using to collect other people's email addresses in the party. What else?
Ken,
I'm glad I let her go first because she said the exact same thing I was going to do.
Shoot.
StayFi is an awesome tool. And then again, kind of like with the virtual guest books, there are options to collect emails there. It's more not forced like StayFi, to where StayFi, they are required to put an email. The other one's more an opt-in type. So it just kind of depends. And then I also do think, it is tough to get everybody's email in the house, but I would say, every effort you can, with different guest books and things like that, to give them a reason, whether it's a coupon or something like that, to give them your email can help as well.
Those are awesome.
Yeah,
I
I
got a
completely
question.
agree too.
Oh, what else you
With
got?
that, yeah, I was gonna completely agree with that too, especially a lot of our clients use Wi-Fi specific lead generation tools as well, just to get everybody on there. Something that we also have done in the past at Q4 launch level is creating specific type of cards that could be included in the guest vacation rental. So, providing get this vacation guide for X% off, or any related things like that. So we could use that specific URL, that landing page, and then asking people to book, having an on-the-go type of vacation guide that could fit in their pocket, for example. Is another way to do it too.
That's kind of a good idea. So like a little business card you would put on the nightstand or something like that.
Either
That's
to the
cool.
URL that takes you to that guide page, or a way to contact them directly.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I got kind of a big picture question. So kind of right now, like, a lot of the managers that are attending this webinar, fully booked, everybody's crushing it. The problem that I'm hearing a lot lately is, everybody's kind of facing it. It's like this crazy job market we're in. And then you have like, these destinations that the talent pool is, small to begin with. So it creates it's a good and bad, right? You have all these reservations, and then, sometimes like quality comes in and it can produce kind of a problem, right? So some things that I've noticed that come up is the reputation side, coming off the fact that they're fully booked, this massive influx in reservations. And then all of a sudden it's like, how do we make sure that our reputation is protected in the process? Do any of you have any ideas, or maybe like leveraging email or anything like that to ensure that they're protecting their reputation online?
I can, I'll jump in quickly here. We've had success with, creating targeted review emails. So, pulling a list of maybe the last month's of guests, and having the property manager make sure they go through that list, make sure they pull anyone that they know maybe left a poor review, or they know had issues with their stay. So you can kind of curate that list to try to use it to your advantage, and then give people a few different options for leaving a review, on your Google My Business page, other review sites. Obviously, the post-departure emails, getting the reviews for the property they stayed in are important, but we really need to be, maybe combating some of those poor reviews, negative reviews that I know you all are getting, which is a bit unfair given what we're dealing with this year. So we've got to try to boost your Google reviews and other review sites by really asking recent guests and those that you think are gonna have a better opinion. That review email will ask how their stay was, and if they said it was a positive stay, then it will send them to a link to leave a review. And if they didn't have a good stay, it gives them an opportunity to talk to you and to provide that feedback, which I think is a win-win also.
Ooh, I like that. Kind of like
Absolutely.
pre-qualifying almost, right?
Exactly. Gatekeeping
cool.
that bit.
Yeah, that's awesome, Bryn. Something that the Q4 launch marketing team does is creating campaigns about asking past guests to share their experience or share their story or a memory from their vacation. We would normally do that through a landing page on the website, blast that to their contact list as well. Just another touch point to get some user generated content to make their brand more authentic or humanize them a little bit more. And building a natural, authentic experience that way. So a guest would go in, submit images and a review that would then go to the property management owner, and they would be able to share that through any channel, whether that's email, social, or something like that.
Great,
Nice.
that's fun.
Awesome. I don't have a ton to add to that. I definitely think the post follow-up email is critical, and having the email either being able to vent the guest, or we do it with a landing page that vents the guest where they can either, send you the bad news if they had a bad time, or go right to Google and send you a good review. So I think following those strategies tend to work rather well. I also do think, when you have these conversations with your guests while they're in the homes, there are opportunities to actually ask for reviews as well. So I'd make sure that your concierge team or whoever's on the phone to these guests has the ability or the know-how to send them somewhere where they can easily go leave a review as well. So I do think empowering your in-house team is important.
Awesome.
I just got a feedback from Carl, and he said we asked guests who gave 5-star property reviews to review us on Yelp, Facebook, and Google, and offered a $30 credit per review for the next stay. And it's been working really well. So thanks for that feedback, Carl. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, guys, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A portion of the Zoom call, and we'll try to get them as we move through. We'd love to answer them for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that tip by Carl. Something I've seen similar with other property managers is trading like late checkouts and things like that for reviews. I know Google kind of frowns upon doing things like that, but we all know there's a little bit of a gray area you have to find at times.
Trading late checkout. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one. Cool. Elisa, what
Well,
you got?
I think we need to move on to the next one, so that we can get through all these today. We could probably talk about this one forever. So I'm going to go ahead and move on and talk about additional revenue. And from this slide, as you could clearly read, did you know that every $100 spent on vacation rental, guest spends $400 on activities? And so let's move into that, how we can create additional revenue out of a booking. And Ben is you want to go ahead and kick us off here with your tips?
Yeah, absolutely. The first and most important thing we recommend to all of our clients at Q4 Launch is partnering with any local businesses that they recommend, and creating customized packages with collaboration with those businesses. Everybody knows that they have their favorite everywhere, and making sure that they're partnering with those quote unquote favorites they have to make a really authentic guest experience. And then once those packages are finalized and created, making sure it's implemented on your website, very easily to find, sending out email campaigns around it, trying to generate that additional revenue, and then using guest lifecycle automation, whether that's before, after, or during their stay, to try to get that guest to book those vacation or adventure packages.
Awesome. Those are great. Yeah, I think along those lines, again, it kind of comes back to activities and also add-ons. So, many of our Blue Tent clients use companies like Vacay Gear or Explory to offer free or discounted activities and gear in the area. So while that may not necessarily add additional revenue to your bookings, I think it's a great way to set yourself apart and maybe hopefully get that repeat booking from the guest. If that really made a difference in their stay and they felt that was a great value, that would certainly help you get a booking again from that person. Also offering add-ons or packaging, right at checkout is, the best way to add additional revenue per booking. So I've seen clients do all kinds of creative things, from firewood bundles to wine and cheese packages to, or the more expected add-ons like lift tickets or linens or beach towels or beach gear. So we can absolutely set you up on your website with adding add-ons at stay, and that's a great way to boost boost that revenue. And like we've mentioned a couple times already, in addition to activities, you can also charge for early check-ins or late checkouts. That can be a win-win. The guest is happy and you've earned additional revenue on that booking. I know right now with the high demand and maybe shortage of housekeepers, that's maybe not possible, but keep that in mind as something that you can charge for, and guests do look for that.
That's awesome, Bryn. Do you have on the add-on side, do you have an example of maybe a website that some of our visitors can go to maybe examine what that looks like in the checkout?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, we've done this on several clients of ours, but hobbsrealty.com, that's just one that comes to mind. They've got, things from mid-stay cleanings to bath or beach towel sets that you can really easily add on right at checkout.
That's cool.
So yeah, take a look at Hobbs Realty. That would be a good example of that.
That's awesome.
And they are a streamlined client.
Nice.
Awesome.
I put that in the chat too, so if anybody wants to copy that, it's in the chat.
Cool.
Okay,
Well, I
Ken.
guess I can jump in here. So I have to, it's kind of fun going third. I just got to agree with everybody. So I do think that definitely if you have the ability to offer add-ons and checkout, you definitely should. I feel most modern PMS systems, you should be able to. And if you're not offering anything in your checkout, I would say look at what you can offer. Kind of like Bryn mentioned, there can be silly things that you might think are kind of pointless, but adding firewood can be a real moneymaker in the winter if you're in the right destination. I've seen add-ons as silly as adding a case of water and things like that that your housekeepers can have ready with them if it was added. So don't stray away from add-ons, but also kind of remember that the guest is going to be in, they're booking their rental mode when they're on the checkout. So that's when they really want to get their room and all that. And I do think you need to leverage things like email marketing to communicate with them as it's coming up to the stay, to let them know, hey, now it's 2 weeks away. You're really in vacation mode now, thinking about what you're going to do, and then share them, links to the different things to do, become the area expert, let them know what's fun, and then help them actually do those things. So if you have a concierge team, you can send them to, awesome. If you have a landing page with, a partner like Explore that they can go see free activities, awesome. So just being able to tell them what things are to do and then making it really easy for them to do it is what I would say is one way to, make your guest stay even better.
I'm going to jump in here with a question that I had, and that is travel insurance. That is a huge revenue maker on top of the reservation. Do you have any tricks or tips for really reinforcing not only the fact that you offer travel insurance, but how important it is at the time of reservation or during the shopping process?
Yeah, I can jump in there. We've built a couple of different solutions where if someone chooses to decline the travel insurance, it will actually say, "Are you sure?" And it will pop up, a message that's custom to that property manager that kind of mentions, maybe some of the things in their area that you would need travel insurance for. So just give them some reasons, make them kind of think twice about declining. I think that's a good way to get more of those conversions.
Yeah, Bryn, the Q4 Launch website solution does something very similar as well. And we always link to that travel insurance policy just to make sure that people are aware of what they may be missing out on. And we also remind guests through email marketing or even some content marketing as well, how important it is to have travel insurance and the benefits to have with it as well.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you actually sent them a follow-up email if they didn't select it to bring them back to select?
Historically, we just included in our normal email marketing campaigns, and that's always targeting those people as well.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome. Cool.
All right. Are there any questions Any more questions, Josh? Should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right.
Perfect.
Let's move on to what's your strategy for turning one-time guests into lifetime visitors? This is super important right now because we are getting a lot of new guests that maybe came to a destination they've never been to before, or are usually go on cruises or fly overseas, and now they're doing vacation rentals for the first time. So I'm super excited to move on to this here, and I'm going to switch it up just because you got to be careful what you ask for, Ken. I'm going to start with you.
I had a feeling that was coming. So I'm going to kind of stick with kind of my theme here is once you get them into your rental, you really need to make sure they know they're staying with you. I'm not trying to pick on Airbnb, but so many people, rent and that's all they think is they're staying in Airbnb. Make sure that your rental goes above and beyond the average rental. So things like I've kind of mentioned before, following up with good email marketing, letting them know what to do in the area, how to actually have a good trip there. Things like offering a virtual concierge, virtual guest book in unit so they can see, hey, what's the closest restaurant to me? What's the favorite recommended restaurant? What activities are going on? Things like that to really let them know, hey, I didn't show up here. Now I have to go figure out what to do. Really bring them everything you can, since and you're the expert in the area. Share that knowledge that you have with your guests and you'll make them a guest for life.
Nice. Okay, Bryn, what do you?
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in. And yeah, I love that, Ken, because I mean, really almost every experience, when you book directly through a vacation rental manager, you're going to get a better experience. So let's let people know who you booked with and keep that communication going. And along those lines, I mean, our email team loves booking anniversary emails. That can be a good tactic, a way to remind someone of, where they were last year, or, get in front of them during the same time they booked their trip the year before or months before, and try to get them to book again, maybe offer a special incentive if necessary. We can also use past guest email lists, or your reservation data to target travelers in certain ways around, like booking last minute homes that have availability, or like shoulder season deals. So take that guest list and segment by location. So if it's an Aspen client of ours, we may segment for, people no more than 3 hours away, and try to get that booking again and incentivize them with, here's a last minute deal, drive up this weekend and stay with us again, just to get another booking out of that guest. And then, other clients will, give that guest, a few days to decide if they want to book that same home next year, during that same week. A lot of you are in locations where it's very consistent, where people are booking, the same week every year, bringing the whole family, all multi-generations together. So try to get them to think about making that booking right after they check out, so that if they loved that home, they can secure that home next year.
I mean, before we move on to you, Ben, I just wanted to let Jennifer and Courtney know that we will get back to you with those examples and recommendations that you're asking for. Thank you. Okay, Ben.
Yeah, I feel like Ken this time. I'm agreeing with what everybody's saying in the panel. But to Ken's point, as we're thinking about Airbnb and people staying through there, making sure that you're getting those authentic email addresses that you could remarket for, and making sure your marketing team is able to have access to your property management system to pull that. Again, more first party data, like Bryn was speaking about, where they're coming from, trying to get that from your reservation system, not only to use it for email marketing or other marketing services, but also paid search as well, and being able to effectively remarket through search and display ads, and getting people really drawn in that way, and creating specialized ad copy for them, as well as thinking about any of those incentives that could get them to come back. 5%, 10% maybe would assume the taxes they would pay on a particular property. So just thinking through little ways you can pivot your discount codes or promo codes to bring them back as well. And to Bryn's point, more on a personal note, my family has stayed in the same vacation rental complex for the past 25 plus years and do not plan on going anywhere else because of the authentic experience they had there. So just first party information there too, and something we do every single year. We actually book the same week every year too. So testament to how that works and making sure everything on site works really well.
That's great. Hey, just kind of a general question for everybody. Like, what are some low hanging fruit for like guest segmentation emails, like whether that's like golfing or anniversary, things like that? Like, what do you all recommend? Just like maybe some low hanging fruit that some property managers could, consider deploying in the near future.
So you're talking in terms of retargeting, stuff like that, Josh?
Just like guest segmentation, things like that, like based off traits or things of that nature.
Yeah, one thing I know our PPC team really likes to do is they like to do just Facebook retargeting, targeting people that have abandoned checkout. So people that have actually started the checkout process on the site and then dropped off. We feel that, those people almost booked and they're going to be your lowest hanging fruit to actually go finish the booking. So that's one group we definitely spend some time looking at.
And I think maybe not a necessarily a demographic like you're saying, Josh, but I know tools like LSI's Insights tool, they can help you fill certain gaps in your inventory based on what type of property the guest stayed at before. So if it's a certain neighborhood or complex or homes with private pool or pet friendly, if you need to fill more of those homes, you can pull a list of guests that stayed in those types of homes in the past and really get that targeted audience that way too.
Speaking of pulling lists, do any of you have recommendations on how or offer platforms that make that process a little easier from a segmentation standpoint? For the email marketing?
I don't want to give you crickets here, Lisa.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is I know that you can do automation through the property management software, but with the Q4, Blue Tent, BizCore, email marketing, do you guys do those segmentations, make those recommendations, help make that segmentation process easier for the client? Does that make more sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm sure you guys are the same. Our email team is all about segmentation and getting that, refined list. So it's not just batch and blast. So do your monthly newsletter, but then really dig in on, certain types of guests and past guest history and try to get much more specific with what you're sending out and who you're sending to.
Yeah,
I agree.
Got it.
Yeah, and our teams historically has gone into the property management system and just pulled it ourselves and getting that massive Excel workbook and then slicing and dicing that way, knowing which particular markets may be struggling more than others or areas that we see opportunities to use as well.
I like that. Yeah, I was gonna say segmentation is great for email marketing. One thing we've been recently doing too is been doing campaigns for re-engagement. So we're actually finding the group of people that have not interacted with us in a while and doing specific campaigns to them to see if they're worth keeping on the list or if they need to be dropped off and be kind of groomed from your list as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's so important.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's been a big shift for us as well, Ken, on the Q4 launch side.
All right. Josh, do you have anything else for the team? Anybody else have any questions? I haven't seen any specific questions come in.
No, let's move on to the next slide. I'll take it.
All right.
Cool. So there's a huge spotlight on our industry, and competition for getting new owners is, really at an all-time high. How can property managers acquire new owners and keep new owners, given the fact that the competition is so fierce right now? Ben, I'm going to let you kind of, as always, kick this one off.
Yeah, I think it's just establishing a clear and complete marketing plan designed for those specific owners. So, looking at the landing page you currently have for property management, making sure really applicable, clear call to actions are present and any necessary information is just readily available right there on that page. Whether you're using on-page linking or other visuals to keep people incentivize those owners to provide their email addresses, whether it's through a free property evaluation that you may have as a person on site going in, maybe it's from a business development perspective and actually looking at that property from an address level and making sure that that fits their brand and their mold, or offering a complimentary owner guide that's clearly lays out all the services, gives them a little more information they can tangibly hold on to, which our design team will go in and actually create that branded for those accounts with us that have it. And then making sure we implement engagement campaigns for warm and hot leads to gather testimonials from current owners, as well as investing in any Google or Bing advertising just to remarket to those people. Historically, they've been a little bit more expensive, so your PPC budget may need to go up a little bit more, but so important as you're getting into a season where there may be more turnover with owners coming up for the fall.
That's cool. So you actually create like some tangible like digital brochures that they can, give out to prospects and maybe put that on landing pages and stuff like that?
Yep. So we create that marketing collateral for them that they can use, and then they either have the option to print it themselves, or we offer it, we hide it behind one of our lead generation forms. So it's more of a way to entice them to actually want that guide as well.
Oh, I like that. Good deal. Cool. Bryn, what do you got?
Awesome. Yeah. As Ben mentioned, I mean, you really do need a full marketing campaign or strategy. It does take multiple touch points. This is a long-term effort, not something that you can just kind of send out a postcard and hope that you'll get an owner from it. But one of the first things I would suggest, if we break this out, is really building a robust property management page. I know BizCore has kind of a property management template with their sites, and with Blue Tent, we do a lot of customizations on these types of pages. You don't want it to just be a wall of text. It's gotta really speak to people. So think about who your target market is, what type of homeowner you're trying to obtain, what sets you apart. Why would someone want to list their home with you? And really convey that and use some beautiful design to make it stand out. From there, you've obviously also got to have a clear value proposition, a clear call to action on the page. So ask them to do something, whether it's contact you, fill out a form, like Ben said, to get a property assessment, something like that. But have them do some sort of action on that page. And then from there, we can start running retargeting campaigns to people who have viewed that property management page. Those are really some of our most successful Facebook ad campaigns, are targeting people that have viewed that page because it's a very relevant audience. And then from there, if someone does fill out a form or complete the call to action on the page, we can set up a drip email campaign, that just runs in the background that continues to kind of share more information about your business. And the biggest thing is just making sure if they're searching for you in their inbox, they can find you. So make sure that you are continuing to follow up with a series of automated email campaigns that try to get that person to get on the phone with your business development team and get more information about your services.
Thank you, Brent. Hey, real quick on that, the topic about the landing page, like what are some elements or maybe some quick bullet points that managers can write about? It's one of the hardest things to do, like write about your business, but maybe you can give them like maybe a few different value points that, they could easily write about the business side.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our clients in particular, a big value proposition is that they're locally based. You're not a Vacasa, you're not a larger company that may be nationally located. So really stress, that you are local. If it's a family-run business, I think people really find that is a trustworthy company to work with. A lot of our clients will talk a little bit about how they market their business. So if you're going to list your home with them, that makes you feel good that your properties are going to be more visible than maybe the one down the street. Owner testimonials. I think that's always an impactful element of a page like this. Get real testimonials from some of your homeowners. But yeah, just really showing what sets you apart and why someone would want to list with you.
Good stuff. That's great. All right, Ken, take it away.
So batting third again, I think they covered things very, very well. I think, having a robust property management page is critical. I think, like Bryn said, the wall of text, nobody's going to read it. Nobody wants to read it. Ben made a great point with saying you want to incentivize them, give them a reason to fill out that contact form. Don't just hope they fill it out. The two things that I would say that could also help improve that property management page that I didn't hear mentioned, whereas we like to show some past results. So we'll actually show a couple example homes and then the revenue that they made. That way, if an owner has a similar property, they can be like, oh, that's a 2-bedroom in this market. They made this much money. Like, I want to work with this team. And then the other thing, kind of like we were saying, you want to make it seem like a family business, somebody you want to work with. We think doing a video is also really critical so they can get to know your team and you and just see who they're going to be working with. And then to kind of pivot things to how do you keep some of your current owners? So I think of your current homeowners, they're really looking at 3 things. Are you making them a good ROI? Hopefully you are. If you are, can you prove to them your efforts? Can you show them where you're ranking? Are you able to provide reports from your marketing company showing them how much you're putting in to these different areas? And the other thing I would say is, are you marketing better than the next guy? How are they going to judge you on that? Well, they're going to Google you and see who comes up first. And then they're going to look at the websites and see which is easier to use, which is more professional. So we like to call it as your website is kind of your virtual business card. Make sure if you're looking to pick up new homeowners or maintain some, you have a nicer business card than the guy next to you. And then the last thing is, are you taking good care of their home? So obviously, if they live in the area, they might check on it occasionally, drive by, see that there's not 20 cars and stuff like that. But really, I think the best way to do this is, how are you taking care of them during their stay? Are you making their stay awesome? When they get there, are they seeing that you have additional things in the home to make the stay above the average? Things kind of like I've been mentioning with the, virtual guest book, or even I think it's called the Your Welcome app, things like that that just show, hey, this is more than the average vacation rental. But I think by just being a really, professional company and doing things right, you should set yourself up for success if you follow these ways to keep your homeowners.
Wonderful.
Bryn, real quick, sorry, Josh, I wanted to jump in here. You had mentioned retargeting campaigns. Is there a place in owner acquisition for social media? And if so, where do you see, how do you see that working? Or how do you guys at Blue Tent use social media for owner acquisition, if at all?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we know, with owner acquisition, it can be tricky to obtain a list of email addresses or physical mailing addresses. So I think social can be a really great tool. With retargeting, it would be, creating a branded property management ad that anyone that sees your property management page would then see on Facebook. But we've also done, quite a bit with like lookalike audiences, radius targeting, trying to hone in on how to find those homeowners in the area. And those Facebook lead ads are really a great option for that type of ad. So it would be a series, they're kind of a unique ad, but when you see one, it's kind of several different pages. So you can offer some information about your property management services. And then if they're interested, they can actually fill out a form right there in Facebook. Obviously, we always want to get people to the website. That's the ultimate goal, but sometimes that's more of a convenience thing. And if someone can just fill out a form right in Facebook, ask for you to get in touch with them, that's a nice way to get that conversion. And those work really well also. Good question.
Thanks, Bryn. Josh, do you have any questions?
I actually, I just want to make more of like just a general comment to the property managers to go through a quick exercise. So, I mean, you're all kind of getting the point, right? Like, a lot of property managers have been, for the longest time, really focused on direct reservations when they allocate spend. And a lot of times, like, semi-neglect the owner acquisition side. And quite honestly, I'd love to have everybody go through an exercise within their business to, first, number one, average your units, annual gross revenue, take that number, and then multiply that by, your retention time. Perhaps that's 3 or 4 years, and then multiply that number by your commission rate. And really, what I want you to do is find your customer lifetime value, and then take that number. And what I want you to do is put that number somewhere on the wall where you could see it every day. That number, these leads are extremely valuable to your organization. And, I think every property manager needs to look at that number as a reasoning to allocate spend. So that's kind of what I'd love everybody to walk away from here. And please just go ahead and do that. That'd be amazing. So at least that's all I got.
All right, you ready to move on to questions and answers? Sharon just said, wait, say that again. Josh.
Yeah. So customer lifetime value. Yeah, it's a wonderful exercise to go through in your business. Take your portfolio, average the annual average rental gross booking revenue, and then multiply that by the number of years, or what I call like your retention rate, and then multiply that by your commission rate. And that's going to give you customer lifetime value. Just take that number, plaster it on the wall. Take that number, if you got a business developer in your business, plaster it right in front of them, because that's the number that's going to take you to the next level. And that's the reason why you should be investing in digital marketing for that angle.
All right, I don't have any more questions, but I know, Josh, you wanted to talk a little bit more about Inhabit and the 3 brands.
Yeah, we'll kick it to the next slide. Really, I just kind of wanted to end with this. I mean, some of you may know me as like the before I came into Inhabit, the former CEO of BizCore, and I can tell you, being one of the first brands coming into this, and all of a sudden you see, Blue Tent Q4 coming into play. It's kind of a weird thing, right? And I'm like, hey guys, we got BizCore. Why do we need all these other marketing companies? And Inhabit, I got to give it to Inhabit. They do a tremendous amount of research into our brands. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they know my blood type, to be honest with you, but they do so much research. And what we uncovered is that these brands are really good at a lot of stuff, but they're experts at certain things. So what I mean by that is, we have some digital brands that are experts at developing for specific PMS with a specific API, and they've mastered developing high converting websites on that API. You have brands that are excellent at digital marketing. You have other brands that are really, really good at owner acquisition. And then last but not least, like you got a company like Blue Tent that pretty much has a pseudo GDS that helps property managers get their properties out through distribution in a very strategic, high-performing way. So really what I would like everybody to walk away from this webinar is to reach out to Elisa or myself. And our goal is to align you with a marketing brand that falls in line with your business and your overall goals and objectives. That's kind of what I'd like to end on this. And Elisa or Kate, if you got anything else to add, if not, let's let these managers get on their way and active. And so
I have one last question from Bruce that maybe Ben, Bryn, Ken, you guys could chime in on.
Yeah.
It just came in. My concern with StayFi is it makes my family-run business look overly corporate. I don't need to provide my email at most businesses I go to when I use Wi-Fi. I feel weird about asking guests. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I thought this was a good question, Bruce. And I think, with anytime you're making a marketing decision, it has to feel right for your business. So there are always going to be certain things that we recommend that just don't sit well with you, or just don't feel like they fit your demographic or who you are. So I think that's a good point. I think that you are offering a service like Wi-Fi that isn't always free everywhere you go. You go to a hotel and you typically have to pay for it. So I think sometimes people are okay with, if it's free, okay, sure, I'll log in or give my email address. But there are other options like offering a curated concierge guide that if they want that, they've got to enter in their email address, and maybe that's a better fit for your company. So I think that's a great point. It might not feel right for everyone.
All right, I think that's it.
Perfectly answered, Bryn.
Mhm.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Absolutely.
I think that's everything. I think we can let all of these very busy property managers get back to doing what they do every day. Josh, anything else?
No, that's all I got. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate the time, and please come say hi to us at the conferences. Super excited to start seeing everybody in person. As a matter of fact, I'm so excited about this webinar. I was like, oh, I need mouthwash, and then realized I'm not even in person. So can't wait to actually talk face to face with everybody. Please come say hi to us at the summit or BRMA or even DARM coming up in 2 weeks. So hope to see you there, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day, everybody.
Thanks.